We are the people we have been waiting for. It does not seem to me to be a question of whether we have a role in economic growth in the new emerging financial system. It seems to me that we have a responsibility for it and that our nation needs us. We have a role to play far beyond financing. Let us never, ever forget that financing is our means and not our end, and justice is our unifying force. Now, you would think that I asked Deborah to introduce me because she and I spent so much time together this year with Mike Reiser of Wachovia, envisioning how we could help move the industry forward through the Wachovia Next Awards for Opportunity Finance. It was an important consideration, but it's not really why I asked her. And you probably think that I had the good sense to ask her to speak because she led the way in the MacArthur Foundation's $25 million program-related investment in OFN for the Wachovia Next Awards, but I cannot honestly stand before you and say that that was why I did it. It should be why I did it, but it wasn't. I asked Deborah to introduce this speech because of a passing comment she made to me in Charlotte, North Carolina in late June. And please bear with me, Deborah, as I try to explain what happened. I promise it ends well. Deborah was responding to my description of a dream I had in May while flying to Kansas City. I had imagined a different opportunity finance, as if our CDFI DNA had come unscrambled, and I said, half-jokingly, that I might make a case in this speech today that we could better serve our customers that way. And the smile faded from Deborah's face. "You can't say that," she said. By the time we reached the 5th floor, Deborah had moved on, but I had not. I was wondering if Deborah was right. But there's something in CDFI DNA that responds to most challenges with a version of why not. In fact, we've made our careers in our industry by questioning warnings like that. 30 and 40 years ago, some of you know, everyone told us that we could not lend to poor people and get paid back. They were still telling us that 15 years ago, about the time the CDFI fund was in discussion, and because of bad lending in the headlines, they're telling us that again today. Some people told us we could not lend successfully in places like Bedford-Stuyvesant or Pine Ridge, Camden, New Jersey, or rural North Carolina. We used to hear, and sadly we sometimes still do, that it's foolish to finance businesses run by women, by people of color, and by people who were not born in the United States. That there is no prudent way to finance childcare or charter schools. And the common but wrong assumption remains that no one can lend productively for resident-owned and controlled manufactured home communities. We do not do things that are impossible, but we do take on challenges that other people consider impossible, because sometimes the critical path is not the obvious or easiest one. So when Deborah told me, "You can't say that," something inside me asked, why not? And within a few minutes, Deborah, and Mike, you'll remember this too, when we sat down in the TV studio to tape the launch announcement of the Wachovia Next Awards, I knew that I had to try to explain my dream today. So let me see if I can. It was one day after the OFN board had met in May. I buckled myself into a commuter jet from Philadelphia to Kansas City in a bulkhead aisle seat, and I relaxed because I was exhausted. We had had a good board meeting and had wrestled with some hard issues, particularly whether to accept an investment that raised anxieties all around the board table. We were nearing the midpoint of our strategic plan, and so we had reviewed plans for the 3 major products of OFN strategy that would define the plan's success or its failure. The 2-year policy campaign we have launched is the Next American Opportunity: Good Policies for a Great America. We wanted to find a policy agenda around CDFIs that will shape the next decade of policy work. The mortgage platform we built to support CDFIs providing anti-predatory mortgage products. We want to provide responsible mortgage options for our communities and our customers. And of course, the Wachovia Next Awards for Opportunity Finance, which are designed to boost 10 exceptional CDFIs toward their potential over the next 5 years, and to lift the entire industry by making it more visible, more credible, and more sustainable. As soon as the captain announced that it was okay to use electronic devices, I turned on my iPod. I generally get a lot of work done on planes, and I have to, but that day I just planned to relax. I chose my favorite playlist. I'm probably the only one who has this playlist. It's a set of Justice songs. The playlist includes some classic Phil Oakes, some chilling covers of civil rights songs by Mavis Staples, and some modern protest songs such as the Dixie Chicks singing Not Ready to Make Nice, and Pink with the Indigo Girls singing Dear Mr. President. It also includes a few truly unlikely songs, and my favorite unlikely justice song is Sam Moore singing a spirited gospel cover of We Shall Be Free, which Garth Brooks, the self-described cowboy rocker, wrote after watching parts of Los Angeles burn following the Rodney King verdicts many years ago. And if you don't know who Sam Moore is, he was the Sam of Sam and Dave who sang the original Soul Man. Music just doesn't get much more unlikely than that. And that morning, as we crossed the Allegheny Mountains in central Pennsylvania, and as I closed my eyes, I remembered, who knows why, a conversation I had years ago with a banker whose husband was starting a business. Over dinner, she said, he told her, apparently for the umpteenth time, that he needed more capital. You don't need more capital, she lectured him. You need more customers. And I heard the opening verse of the song. When the last child cries for a crust of bread, when the last man dies for the words that he said, when there's shelter over the poorest head, we shall be free. Yes, I was thinking, CDFI struggle with that often conflicting demand of capital and customers. And that morning, with the three rivers of Pittsburgh out the window and the conscious thought sliding softly away, the conflict set off a phantasmagoric Niagara of thoughts that ran through my mind. I thought about Amartya Sen's prize-winning work and Prahalad's fortune at the bottom of the pyramid. I recalled the discussions we have all been having about the rising economic power of emerging domestic markets, or opportunity markets as I call them. I thought about the seminal paper that Bob Weisbord wrote for OFN and for CFED last year, explaining that CDFI's ability to add value to market growth created promising potential for economic and policy strategies that rise above conventional partisanship and ideology. And my mind wandered through the unexpected but productive development of Opportunity Finance Network's relationship with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce as it builds a community investing strategy. And I thought last about the growing bipartisan support in Congress from the middle 70% of the political spectrum for Opportunity Finance. And I struggled to follow that sequence when the second verse filtered through my mind. When the last thing we notice is the color of skin, when the first thing we look for is the beauty within, when the skies and the oceans are clean again, we shall be free. And what happened next might have been a dream or an hallucination. It was possibly a nightmare. Some of you know the saying that an optimist believes that these are the best of times, that things could not possibly get any better, and that a pessimist is sure of it. My experience that followed seemed caught in that paradox. Is the CDFI approach the best there is, or the worst? Are we doing things all right, or are we doing things all wrong? Did you ever wonder if we were all just missing something obvious? But the song was building. When we're free to love anyone we choose, when the world's big enough for all different views, when we all can worship from our own kind of pews, we shall be free. Right about then, everything I thought I understood about our business caved in. Wouldn't it be better, I dreamed, if we increased our pricing enough to better sustain our institutions? And I have to admit, I also dreamed, I bet there's a price where we could better sustain our institutions, keep our customers, and even keep them dependent a little on us so that they'd come back for more. I've heard people say that we give away too much for free. All of a sudden, my dream filled with the possibilities of fees that would reduce our exposure to deals that do not close, to borrowers who refinance before we can recover our cost. Isn't that how it should work? And Sam Moore was yelling in my ears now, getting louder and louder, making it harder to dream. And when money talks for the very last time, when nobody walks a step behind, when there's only one race and that's mankind, we shall be free.